This is Jordan from sleeklens.com, and in this video I want to show you probably the fastest and easiest way to do the double exposure effect that you kind of see on a lot of cool graphics all over the internet, all over social media. It's a really cool effect, and most of the tutorials that I've actually seen come out about this effect have been 20 minutes long or something like that, and nobody wants to sit through how to do that. So I'm going to try to show you the fastest and easiest way that you can get this effect in your images. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing you need is actually your subject. Most of the time this is done with a person, so a headshot like this. Headshots typically work best. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this headshot and we're going to cut the person out and then put our overlay or our doubles exposed image in her place. So this is the image we're going to be using as a double exposure image. So again, the first thing we need to do is cut her out, and if you have a headshot that's as simple as this, you can actually let Photoshop do most of the work for you. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my quick selection tool or my layer mask right here, and I'm going to choose select subject, and what that's going to do is give me a rough estimate of the person here. You can see I got a little bit of an area over here where I probably need to add in to the selection right here, but for the most part it did a great job. What we're going to do now is just select and mask, so this will kind of refine our mask. I'm going to put it on a black layer so I can definitely see all the jaggedness. And we don't need it to be perfect, but we want it to be as good as possible. So don't spend too much time on changing this up and making everything smoothed out and really nice and crisp. You just want it to be as good as possible to try to get this cut out. And obviously we can already we can fix this later on. You can try smart objects or smart radius and increase the radius a little bit to see if it'll smooth things out. You can feather it. You can smooth out the lines, add some contrast. I typically try to drag in a little bit of edge, shift edge, so it's shifting the edge in, and that'll kind of hopefully get rid of a little bit of color contamination. But what we're going to do down here is actually do our output, and we want our output to be new layer with layer mask. And so I'm going to take that looks okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK here, and now we have our person cut out. Okay, so we got two more steps here before we start putting in the other image. So now what we're going to do is apply a black and white adjustment layer. So I'm going to go over here, and I have my black and white. I'm just going to clip this to the model image, clip that. And the way you do that is obviously to go between those two layers, hold Alt or Option on your keyboard, and that'll give you that little arrow down there, and it'll clip it to the layer. Then we're going to do another one of a curves adjustment, and we're going to do that same thing, clip it to the black and white layer. And now we're going to drag this curve to try to add a little bit more black to the image, just like that. Add a little bit of a nicer contrast. You want a little bit more black than you do white. So roughly around there, just kind of play around with it. You can obviously change this later on, but you kind of want a little bit of nice contrast there. So now here's the fun part. We're going to go ahead and select our landscape layer, and this is the image again that we're going to put into the model. You're going to go down to the layer mask that was applied for when you selected your subject. So you're going to go down here to the layer mask, and before you click on it with the regular click, you're actually going to right click on it and say add mask to selection, and that's going to make that selection on top of the other exposed image. Now all you're going to do is just click a layer mask button, and there we go. Now the image is cut out along with the model. So this is where the easy part comes in. Now that you've done all the hard work about clipping things together, all you need to do is get a brush, and I recommend a very large brush with a very soft hardness, so down to 0. And the last thing you probably want is a little bit of a flow reduction, so around 10 to 15, somewhere around there would be good. And now what you're going to do is just do clicks around the image. So you're going to click around here. Oh, I did forget to make sure my background or my foreground color is black. Make sure it is black and not white. So now I'm going to click around the image, and you can see it's slowly revealing the person underneath, kind of going around here. Don't worry about clicking too much because you can always bring that back. So let's say if I clicked over here too much and I'm seeing a little bit too much black and white, just change my color using the X key back to black, and it'll paint it back in. And we'll keep going around here. Alright, so we're just bringing all this stuff back in, getting the parts that we want. And for the most part, there we go. We have our double exposed image. If we wanted to add a little bit more of an effect to it, what we could do is actually duplicate this, and it'll kind of duplicate it there, but we can change the blending mode to overlay or soft light. I kind of like to do overlay because it gives a little bit more crunch to it, a little bit more contrast, and just back the opacity down to right around there. So that is the double exposure effect. You can do this with any image, any subject, any background image, anything that you want to do with, but that is probably the easiest and fastest way to do the double exposure effect in Photoshop. Thank you for joining me in this video. This has been Jordan from Sleek Lens, and I'll see you in the next one.